Let's take a moment and reflect on a truth many of us sense deep down but often ignore when life gets hard. Before God blesses you with abundance, before he opens the doors of financial success, before your bank account overflows, he tests you, not to punish you, not to break you, but to prepare you, to purify you, to refine your soul, so that when the wealth arrives, it doesn't destroy you. It doesn't make you arrogant. It doesn't make you forget him or forget where you came from. Every person walking this earth who has been touched by real success, by lasting wealth, has at some point passed through the fire of trials. These tests are not accidents. They're not bad luck. They are perfectly placed stepping stones in a divine plan. And if you pay attention, if you respond with the right heart, you'll start to understand the test is the path to the treasure. You see, when God wants to elevate someone, he starts by stripping away their comforts. He removes their safety nets. He puts them in a position where they have to choose, will they trust him or will they panic and compromise? Will they take shortcuts or will they stay in integrity, even when the road is rough and the rewards seem delayed? Imagine you're praying for financial breakthrough. You want more income, a better life, a thriving business, a way out of debt. These are good desires, but God in his wisdom doesn't respond immediately with a windfall of money. No. Instead, you may lose a job. An investment might fail. You might find yourself wondering how you'll pay rent next month. And in that moment, it feels like you're being ignored. But you're not being ignored. You're being trained, because here's the secret. What you do when you're broke tells God who you'll be when you're rich. If you cheat when you're broke, you'll exploit when you're wealthy. If you're greedy with little, you'll be greedy with much. If you forget God when you have nothing, how will you ever remember him when you have everything? So God, being a wise and loving Father, delays the blessing, not to hurt you, but to shape you into someone who can carry the blessing with grace and responsibility. Look at the lives of those who've made it, those who've achieved wealth that lasts and also kept their soul intact. Whether it's entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, or inventors, nearly all of them went through a dark season, a season of lack, a season of questioning, a season where everything they touched seemed to fall apart. And in that season, they either gave up or they grew up. When you are tested financially, it's not just about the money. It's about your character. Will you keep your values when money is tight? Will you stay generous when it would be easy to become selfish? Will you continue to walk in faith even when the numbers don't add up? So many people pray for success, but they're not praying for the strength to carry it. And let me tell you, wealth is heavy. It brings responsibility. It brings pressure. It brings new temptations. And if you haven't been tested, you'll be crushed by it. That's why God often starts by putting you in situations where you have to rely on him for daily bread. He'll teach you to budget, to save, to work hard without applause. He'll test your ability to be content even when your bank account is empty. Because if you can be faithful with little, he knows he can trust you with much. Think about this. When a seed is planted in the ground, it disappears for a season. It's covered in darkness. It's buried. It looks like it's dead. But under the soil, transformation is happening. The roots are growing. The foundation is being set. And only when that process is complete does the plant break through the surface. You are like that seed. If you're in a season of financial testing, you are not being buried, you are being planted. And if you stay the course, if you allow the process to shape you, you will break through. You will rise, you will bloom, but that process takes time, it takes patience, and it takes faith. We live in a culture of instant gratification. We want next day delivery on everything, even on our destiny. But God's timeline doesn't work that way. He's not just trying to give you money. He's trying to make you into someone who can handle money without it handling you. Let me ask you something. If your dream life arrived tomorrow, would you be ready for it? Would you know how to manage it? Would your integrity be strong enough to resist the temptation that comes with power and prosperity? This is why the test is necessary. Without the test, the blessing becomes a curse. In every test, there is a lesson. When you're down to your last dollar, will you panic or will you pray? When your business isn't making profit, will you cheat or will you pivot? When people doubt you, will you fold or will you rise? These are the moments that determine your readiness for wealth. Not just financial readiness, but spiritual and emotional readiness. And let's be honest, there are people out there who received money too soon, and it ruined them. Lottery winners who lost everything in 5 years. Athletes who went bankrupt after making millions. Entrepreneurs who succeeded fast, but crumbled because their character couldn't sustain their success. So if you're still in a season of testing, don't despise it, don't rush it, embrace it. Ask God, what are you trying to teach me in this season? Ask yourself, how can I grow into the person who can steward wealth wisely? God may be watching how you treat $100 bill before he gives you $1,000,000. He may be observing how you handle delayed gratification, how you talk about others, how you treat the people who can't help you. Because wealth is not just a resource, it's a responsibility. And God's desire is not just to bless you, it's to bless others through you. So when he's preparing to release wealth into your life, he wants to be sure that your heart is aligned with his. Can you be generous when it doesn't make sense? Can you give without expecting anything back? Can you trust him when the money is low and still trust him when the money is high? That's the real test. And it's not a one-time thing. Even after the wealth arrives, the tests continue. Because God doesn't stop refining you once the bank account grows. In fact, he watches even closer. Many people ask, why hasn't God answered my prayer for financial breakthrough yet? But the better question is, have I passed the test he's placed before me? Have you learned to be faithful in the small things? Have you built the discipline to manage money wisely? Have you removed greed from your heart? Have you allowed humility to take root? Sometimes God won't give you more until you're grateful for what you already have. Gratitude unlocks abundance. Entitlement blocks it. So if you find yourself struggling financially, don't assume God has forgotten you. Perhaps he's setting the stage for your elevation. But before he promotes you, he will prove you. He will see how you respond to stress, how you respond to slow progress, how you respond to people who doubt your vision. Will you keep building? Will you keep showing up? Will you keep honoring him with your work, your words, your wallet? There is no shortcut to sustainable success, no bypass around the process. There's only obedience. There's only trust. There's only daily faithfulness in the mundane. The world sees the success, the cars, the clothes, the lifestyle, but God sees the sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the faith it took to keep moving when nothing made sense. Those are the things that matter most to him. Those are the things that qualify you for blessing. Because at the end of the day, wealth isn't just about money. It's about freedom. It's about impact. It's about legacy. And those things are too valuable to give to someone who hasn't been tested. So if you're in the test right now, stay faithful, stay humble, stay patient. Your time is coming. And when it comes, you won't just have a full bank account. You'll have a full heart. You'll know how to handle it. You'll use it to serve others. You'll walk in purpose, not just prosperity. That is the kind of wealth that lasts. That's the kind of success that doesn't destroy you. God is not just working on your finances. He's working on you. And when the process is complete, when the test is passed, when your character is ready, the doors will open, the blessing will come, and it will be bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you imagine. Before any great blessing is released, especially financial wealth, God first examines the condition of your character. Money itself is not evil. It's neutral, but it can magnify what already lives within a person's heart. That's why God doesn't rush to hand it over. He's not just interested in blessing you, he's interested in shaping you. Wealth in the wrong hands can destroy lives. It can inflate egos, feed selfishness, and lead people far from the values that matter most. So instead of rushing into the blessing, God takes his time preparing the person who will carry it. He watches how you behave when things are tight, when your bank account is low, when your dreams are delayed, when your efforts don't bring immediate reward. That is where your true character is revealed. Do you stay honest when you're under pressure? Do you still treat people with respect even when you're struggling? Do you honor your responsibilities, show up with excellence, and remain faithful even when no one is watching? These are the questions that get answered in the testing season. We often pray for abundance, for breakthrough, for overflow, but we don't always ask ourselves, who am I becoming in the process? God looks at the person more than the prayer. If your heart is full of envy, pride, impatience, or greed, adding wealth will only increase those traits. That's why he allows certain delays. They are not denials, they're part of the refining process. You may think you're waiting on God, but often he's waiting on you to grow into the person who can carry the weight of what you're asking for. When you choose integrity over shortcuts, when you stay humble despite struggle, when you are generous even in lack, those moments don't go unnoticed. They speak louder than any words you pray. God sees that your heart is stable and that you're ready for more, because he knows if you can be trusted in the dark, you can be trusted in the light. He knows that if success won't change you, it's safe to give it to you. Wealth without wisdom is dangerous. But when character is solid, God knows that blessing you won't destroy you. It will elevate you and everyone around you. It's easy to dream about abundance, success, and wealth. Many people want the big breakthrough, the promotion, the financial freedom, but few understand the principle that God often uses to determine who is ready for those blessings. Faithfulness in the small things. Before God places something great in your hands, he watches how you handle what's already there. It may not be much right now. It could be a modest job, a small income, a struggling business, or a limited opportunity, but your response to that small assignment is a direct reflection of your readiness for more. Being faithful in small things means showing up fully even when you feel unnoticed. It means working with excellence even when the paycheck is small. It means budgeting wisely, giving generously, and staying disciplined with limited resources. Because how you treat what seems insignificant reveals your mindset. Are you entitled and careless, or are you grateful and responsible? God looks at these everyday decisions and sees whether you can be trusted with more. Imagine someone who mismanages $100 spending recklessly, refusing to save, ignoring debts. Would giving them $100,000 fix their problems or multiply them? Wealth only magnifies habits. If you're disorganized with little, you'll be overwhelmed with much. If you're stingy with a small income, you won't become generous with a larger one. God isn't just watching your capacity, he's observing your consistency. And that consistency, especially in seasons where you have less, is what builds the foundation for future abundance. Sometimes we think small tasks are beneath us, or that the little we have isn't enough to matter, but nothing is too small for God to use. David was faithful in watching sheep before he became king. Joseph managed a prison before he managed a nation. Even Jesus started his ministry in obscurity. Promotion often comes after long seasons of quiet faithfulness. When you're faithful in the small things, you're not just proving something to God, you're training yourself for greater responsibility. You're building habits of discipline, gratitude, and excellence that will carry you when the blessing grows. So don't despise the small beginnings. Honor them, steward them well, because every big breakthrough is born out of a season where someone decided to be faithful, when no one was watching, when nothing seemed to be happening, and when quitting would have been easier than staying the course. That's the kind of person God can trust with more. When you find yourself in a season of lack, whether it's financial hardship, missed opportunities, or unmet goals, it's easy to feel discouraged, as though you're being punished or forgotten. But nothing could be further from the truth. That season isn't a sign that God has abandoned you. Rather, it's a critical time of preparation, like a craftsman shaping raw materials into something beautiful. God uses these periods of scarcity to mold your character, develop your resilience, and deepen your lack. Teaches lessons that abundance cannot. It strips away distractions and forces you to focus on what truly matters. It humbles you, reminding you that your identity isn't tied to money or possessions, but to something far greater. In these moments you learn patience, the ability to trust God's timing even when the answers don't come quickly. You discover resourcefulness, finding ways to stretch what little you have and make it work. And perhaps most importantly, you develop faith that isn't dependent on circumstances, but anchored in a confident hope in God's promises. Many people rush to escape lack by taking shortcuts, compromising their values, giving up on their dreams, or blaming others. But God calls you to remain steadfast. He wants to see if you will continue to walk in integrity, if you will persevere through challenges, and if you will keep your heart open to His guidance. This season tests your commitment and reveals your true priority. History is full of examples of people who endured long seasons of lack before their breakthrough. Abraham waited decades for the promise of a son. Joseph suffered unjust imprisonment before rising to power. Even Jesus spent years in obscurity before beginning his ministry. Their stories remind us that preparation often requires time, and what feels like delay is actually divine timing. So when you're in a season of scarcity, don't despair. Use this time to grow, to learn, and to build the foundation for lasting success. Trust that God is at work behind the scenes, preparing you to handle the wealth and blessings He intends to give. When the season changes, you won't just receive abundance, you'll be ready to steward it wisely and honorably. This time of lack is not punishment. It is preparation for your future victory. When life puts you through financial tests, it reveals what truly rules your heart. Do you serve money, or do you serve God? Money in itself is a tool, a resource that can either help you fulfill your purpose or become a master that enslaves you. The way you respond to financial pressure uncovers which of these is your reality. If your focus is solely on acquiring wealth at any cost, your heart may be drawn away from God. But if you keep your faith, integrity, and values intact even when money is scarce or the path is uncertain, you show that your loyalty is to something far greater than material gain. During tests, you face choices that expose your priorities. Will you cut corners to make a quick profit, or will you maintain honesty even if it costs you? Will you become anxious and greedy, hoarding every penny out of fear, or will you trust God's provision and continue to give generously? These moments are revealing because they show whether you are serving your own desires or submitting to God's will. Wealth can become a god in itself if you allow it, distracting you from your true purpose and relationship with the divine. The Bible says that no one can serve two masters. You will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. Financial hardship and blessing alike test this truth. When money flows, does your heart remain humble, thankful, and generous? When money dries up, do you panic, despair, or compromise your morals? The test is ongoing and helps God and yourself see where your true allegiance lies. When you serve God above all else, money becomes a means to an end, not the end itself. It becomes a way to bless others, to invest in good causes, to support your family and community. But if money becomes the master, no amount will ever satisfy, and the pursuit of wealth will leave you empty. These tests are necessary to help you recognize where your heart is, and to realign it if needed. Ultimately, the way you respond to financial trials reveals your spiritual maturity. It shows whether you're ready to handle wealth responsibly, or if you need more growth. Serving God first means trusting Him in both scarcity and abundance, and that trust is the foundation for true and lasting prosperity. When God prepares to bless you with wealth, His focus goes far beyond just increasing the numbers in your bank account. Wealth, after all, is not merely about comfort or personal gain. It's about impact. God's ultimate desire is that the resources He entrusts to you become tools for making a positive difference in the lives of others and in the world around you. This is why the testing seasons you face aren't random. They're part of His process to shape not just your income, but your heart and purpose. Many people view financial success as a goal in itself, a destination where life finally becomes easier. But God sees it different. He understands that money can open doors for greater influence, responsibility, and service. If He gave you wealth without preparing your heart, that blessing might end up being a burden or a distraction. So before the income grows, God works on your vision, your generosity, and your willingness to be a channel of blessing to others. The tests you endure refine your compassion and expand your capacity to give. They teach you to see beyond your own needs and desires, and to recognize the needs of your community, your family, and even strangers who might benefit from your success. This shaping process helps you develop empathy, humility, and a sense of stewardship, qualities essential for anyone entrusted with resources. True wealth is measured not just by what you accumulate, but by what you give away. God wants you to become someone who can responsibly manage abundance, so it fuels positive change, whether that's supporting a cause you believe in, creating jobs, helping the vulnerable, or investing in future generations. The impact you have with your wealth is the legacy that lasts far beyond your lifetime. In essence, God's test isn't just about how much you make, but how much you become. He's shaping you into a leader, a giver, and a servant, someone who uses financial blessings as a means to fulfill a greater purpose. When you understand that, your perspective on wealth changes. It's no longer just about income. It becomes about influence, impact, and eternity. So as you walk through your current challenges, remember that God is preparing you for more than just money. He's preparing you for a life of significance, a life where your wealth becomes a powerful force for good in the world. That's the true blessing. Gratitude, generosity, and stewardship are three powerful qualities that create a fertile ground for greater blessings to grow in your life. When God tests you before blessing you with wealth, He's not only observing your ability to accumulate money, but also how you handle what you already have, especially in terms of your heart's posture toward. These three traits demonstrate that you understand the true nature of wealth and are ready to receive more. Gratitude is the foundation. When you're thankful for what you have, no matter how little it may seem, you acknowledge God's provision and goodness. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, from what's missing to what's already present. This mindset opens the door for more blessings, because it reflects contentment and trust. God delights in those who appreciate His gifts, rather than take them for granted or complain about what they don't have. Generosity flows naturally from gratitude. When you recognize that your resources are not just for yourself, but are meant to be shared, you develop a heart that gives freely. Giving, whether it's time, money, or kindness, is a sign that you're not controlled by fear or greed. Generosity demonstrates faith that God will continue to provide even when you give away what you have. It breaks the cycle of scarcity and invites a flow of abundance in return. Often those who give with a joyful heart find their blessings multiplied in unexpected ways. Stewardship ties it all together. It's the responsible management of your resources, using what you've been given wisely, planning for the future, and avoiding waste or recklessness. Stewardship means understanding that wealth is a trust, not just a right. When you handle your finances with care and discipline, you show God that you can be trusted with more. Good stewardship involves budgeting, saving, investing, and protecting what you have so that it can grow and serve a greater purpose. When gratitude, generosity, and stewardship come together, they create a powerful cycle. Your thankful heart leads to generous actions, which require wise stewardship, which in turn positions you to receive even greater blessings. This cycle pleases God and aligns you with His principles of abundance. In contrast, a heart filled with ingratitude, selfishness, or careless spending closes the door to blessings. It signals to God that you may not be ready for more. Therefore, cultivating gratitude, practicing generosity, and embracing stewardship aren't just good habits. They are spiritual keys that unlock the fullness of God's financial blessing. When you live with these qualities, you demonstrate that you are ready to handle wealth with grace and purpose, inviting God to bless you abundantly in return.